The big spending politicians in Washington could learn a few things from the Norwegians, because when it comes to whether a government should run budget deficits or budget surpluses, the U.S. and Norway could not be further apart. While the U.S. government continues to spend money it doesn't have, the Norwegians refuse to spend their budget surplus from oil. They decided long ago to put most of it in the bank for a rainy day. Norway struck oil in the North Sea in 1969, transforming what was once the poor cousin in Scandinavia into one of the richest countries in the world.
What we have in Norway that is extremely lucky is that we found oil in the North Sea.
But it's more than luck. When the oil money started flowing, Norway's government could have gone on a spending binge like Washington seems to be so fond of doing. Instead, Oslo established the Petroleum Fund, stashing money away in anticipation of a day when Norway might not be so wealthy. The government also passed a law saying that it can only spend 4% a year from the oil fund. That's caused the fund to grow to $500 billion, 3 times the annual government budget. And by using only the interest from the oil fund while adding more principal each year, the oil fund should be worth about $1 trillion by 2020. But if you think Norway only has a budget surplus because of oil, you just might be wrong. Economist Terje Strom.
That's an extremely tricky question. I mean, the only thing I can sort of rely on is that Sweden and Denmark, sort of similar culture and economies and size, have managed quite well.
And without Norway's oil, Denmark was running a budget surplus until the current global financial crisis hit. Sweden, also without Norway's oil, expects a budget surplus this year, and both have lavish, cradle-to-the-grave welfare states like Norway. So is it oil wealth, or is it something about Scandinavians? Economically, Norway is about as healthy as a welfare state can be, with only 3% unemployment and economic growth that's twice the current rate of the United States. But while some call it paradise, Norway is far from perfect. It's one of the most expensive countries in the world. A fast food meal for one can cost as much as $20, in part because the fast food employee is paid Norway's generous minimum wage of about $25 an hour. Norwegians also frequently complain that for an oil-rich nation, Norway should have better roads and schools. But part of the reason for that is the government refuses to spend more of its oil wealth. Another concern is that Norway's generous welfare benefits are killing the work ethic, because welfare payments can pay more than some jobs. Economist Vilhelm Vinje.
Well, we have a welfare state that reduces the incentive to work. For a lot of people, the welfare would pay more than a job.
There's also free health care, free college tuition, and up to 1 year of sick leave with full pay. And as Norway's tiny population of less than 5 million people ages, Vilhelm believes the surplus could evaporate.
Around 2030 or so, we will have elements of what you have in the States as well. I don't necessarily think that our plan is sustainable in the long run. Well, it can be sustainable, but it depends on the choices we make.
These Norwegian economists were very hesitant to criticize the lack of fiscal discipline that seems to reign in Washington, D.C. But here in a land that believes saving for the future is more important than spending on the present, the cause of the U.S. budget crisis seemed to be a no-brainer.
Running unsustainable policies over long term really make a big mess.
So in this land of the midnight sun, there exists a common sense about budgets and government spending that seems to have eluded some politicians in Washington. Dale Hurd, CBN News in Oslo, Norway.